Award-winning lyricist Liz Russo is here with us. I just needed to just go over some of your creds right now. She is a multi-award-winning songwriter and lyricist for records, film, television, and virtual reality. Her versatility and unique take on pop culture have made her one of today's most sought-after talents. More than 100 of Russo's songs can be heard in films, television shows, including Netflix, Showtime, HBO, Universal Pictures, Hulu, and part of some major campaigns, including Samsung Galaxy Orange Love and People Hair Care campaigns. Truly, truly remarkable. And then you have this wonderful accolade and beautiful, beautiful, song that we just heard. And I was listening to it a lot on the plane here, and just even having the visuals behind it makes it even more powerful and moving. And when you hear the lyrics, to push every limit, I'm not going to sing, don't worry. To push every limit, like all of the women before me, won't stand in the shadows because she fought the battle before me, and she's looking up too. Tell me a little bit about that and what inspired you with these lyrics and the song in general.
Well, thank you for having me, for everyone here. I am incredibly honored to be a part of the World Woman Foundation and for them to ask us to do this song around the campaign of She's My Hero. It is truly an amazing thing to be a part of, and also just the lyrics themselves, because they're just so meaningful to me. In Angelica's story, for instance, and in, I don't know if they're too familiar with Angelica's story, but she was really ill when she was little, and she ended up needing a kidney transplant. And so I wanted to incorporate her story for She's My Hero because her mom was actually the one who donated the kidney to her. And so when I was working on the song and I was incorporating the lyrics and the stories between her and I wanted to make sure that came across really clearly. And I remember her telling me, my mom is my hero. She will always and forever be that person that I look up to for my entire life. And I just thought that was so special. And I was like, oh, looking up, that's so interesting. And I really wanted to incorporate that in the idea of this ladder that we all have. Like when we're young, we look up to our teachers, our parents, our grandparents, our friends, and so the imagery behind that. So like for the bridge, for instance, I am her and she is me, and the ladder keeps on growing, and then one day you become the hero that keeps it going. So it's kind of that stage of life, and it's always changing, and people fall off the ladder, so to speak, but you always add people, and it's just a dimension of your life. And I think that for her, at such a young age, her mom was such a big influence, and I really wanted that to come across in this song.
The future generation.
Yeah.
We need to protect them. We need to educate them, and they're going to educate us in the session after this too.
Yeah.
And so, tell me a little bit about what the creative process was like working with someone like Angelica.
Oh my gosh! If you don't know who she is just a force. I mean, I think her season of America's Got Talent was in 2017. And I watched that season, and I remember she just became like America's darling. And she was so young. She was about 10 years old, I think, at the time. And she came out and she sang Alicia Keys, Girl on Fire. She was singing Kelly Clarkson. She was singing Audra Day, Rise Up. And I'm thinking to myself, like, who are you? Where did you come from? Like, I wasn't doing that at 10 years old. I think, barely ride a bike. But, like, she's here on a world stage, singing these incredible songs, incredibly hard to sing. And I was just enamored with her. And I just thought, wow, like, she is going to be something so special. And then to get to work with her a few years later, it was really a dream. I had no reserves or anything. I know she could sing the phone book and everybody here would buy it because, as you saw, she is just amazing.
So I'm going to read a stat to you guys. Over the past decade, women only make up 12.7% of songwriters.
Right.
Across an 11-year span and 1,100 songs, the overall percentage of female artists was 22.3%. This is a ratio of 3.5 male artists to every one female artist.
Yeah.
So my question for you, and coming on this stage, what advice do you have for women that want to get into songwriting and and fear that they won't be given the platform or the space or be able to make it given these statistics?
I feel like we just need to educate them in order to know that there is a space for them. Like when I was growing up, I played saxophone and I was in the band, and but I didn't know that there were jobs around songwriting. I thought the artist wrote the song and there was nobody really else behind the scenes. So I wasn't educated, even though I was in music programs for 7, 8, 9 years. I didn't know the type of jobs that were out there for me, and I really think that education is key when it comes to music, because there are so many jobs that we didn't know about. I didn't know you could be an arranger and a composer. You know, I didn't know there were all these facets to it that were so incredible that lay in support of the overall artist. And so I think half of it is education, and just, you know, you can do anything that you set your mind to if you know that it's out there for you to do. And so I think the step one is just educating young women and girls to let them know that, you know, there are tons of things out there that you can do, not just be a singer on a stage. There's so many facets to music behind the scenes.
And we're talking about breaking the role in specific gender stereotypes, but I brought this up to you yesterday. I don't know if anyone's seen the, you know, top 10 TED Talk of Sir Ken Robinson. Show of hands, no. Yes. Schools killing creativity, and this applies here where, you know, you're in the arts and literacy is often prioritized, and, you know, every child is born an artist, and we, through some of the school systems, are, you know, really educating our children out of creativity. And, you know, we need them to know through people like you that you can be a leader in this field. There are opportunities for you in music and dance, and you can make a career and you can go far in life through, you know, through the arts. So that's, you know, that's absolutely wonderful. And I think that, you know, when it comes to social change, that can also be really, really impactful through music and spreading that message of hope for women. And, you know, what is the message that you overall want to relay to women as you kind of go about writing songs now and in the future?
I think just putting our stories in songs and continuing to tell the stories that make up the fabric of our lives. You know, I really think that it's such a huge platform. Music is universal. We hear it all day, every day, in everything that we do. And so, you know, it's important that we share our stories, but I also think it's very important to feel like you have a safe space in order to do so. And sometimes that doesn't always allow, or people don't feel like they can. And I think, hands down, like creating that space or space for yourself, or if you're comfortable doing a song or having a blog or writing a short story, or, you know, having a YouTube channel or something like that, just anything that you feel comfortable with. But I also feel you have to have safety around that, because people don't want to get, you know, criticized or scrutinized for their life experience, but it is also important to share those things, because that's how we create change.
How do you see the role of music evolving in the future, especially with emerging technologies? We were talking about, you know, digital and NFTs earlier, and artificial intelligence. What does that look like in music, do you think?
In our world, I guess, like, the interesting thing that's coming up is Chat GPT. And so it's going to change the game. It's going to be something that I think we're all going to be utilizing in the future. It's happening very fast. It's very scary, but, you know, interesting all at the same time. I was actually in a session a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this and how it might change our roles in the industry. And we got on and we tried, and we're like, oh, okay, write a song like Treasure by Bruno Mars. And it was absolutely horrible. Like, the lyrics were rubbish, and it was just awful. So I don't think it's going to take away my job anytime soon, because you can't tell, it's not telling a personal story, and nobody wants to hear generic lyrics anymore. And so I think it has a long way to go, but I do think that it is the future, and we are going to have to embrace it at some point, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, it's a little scary at the same time too, fun and scary.
Yeah.
You know, just talking about you a little bit more personally, can you tell us a challenging moment in your career and how you overcame it?
Sure. So back in 2017, my father became very ill, and he got pancreatic cancer. And I was traveling back and forth very frequently to help my family, to take my dad to his treatments, to try to support my family in any way that I could. And with that, my music suffered. I was doing very well up until that point, but I could not compartmentalize the things that I needed to do with work and the things I needed to do with my family. So I really decided to wholeheartedly take a step back, because at that particular moment in time, the most important thing to me was to be there for my father during this journey. So it was very hard for me because I had worked so hard and created this whole music industry life and career, and it was very hard to step away. But I had to make the decision to do that because I didn't want to be the sad girl in the room. I didn't want to be the girl who was always canceling sessions. I wanted to remain professional. I wanted to have that layer because, if you start canceling sessions, if you start being, unreliable, then you get a reputation for that. And I did not want to do that. So that was very hard for me to step away from it at that point in my life. But I knew that it would come back around. And I knew that, when my dad passed away a couple of years after his diagnosis, after he died, he told me to never give up, and that's a whole other story. But and so I didn't, and so overcoming that was me really coming back into the business, feeling like there was a place for me. I almost took, I think, 3.5 years off, which in this business is a really long time. And you don't feel like you're going to be accepted back into it, but I was, and I try really hard to get my chops about me, and I feel really good that I overcame that.
That's admirable. And we had a long conversation too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
She's incredible. She switched careers and she did it all on her own and just went out and networked and, kicked down doors, broke the glass ceiling, continued to, push in a very, very, very crowded, cluttered, difficult, male-dominated industry.
Yes.
And so...
I would like to leave a remark, too, at the end. I would like to have one remark at the end.
Oh, yes, of course. So we need to wrap up. And I have a last, two-part question. I want to know who you look up to in the music industry and who your inspiration is, who's your hero, who's your shiro. And then, anything else that you want to impart to, the future, generation of female leaders in songwriting.
That was part of my thing, actually. So I have a weird love affair with Diane Warren, and she's actually going to be here later. I don't think she's here yet, but so when I was young, I used to love going to buy CDs, and I don't know, a generation where we don't buy CDs anymore, but I used to buy the CD and I used to unwrap it, and I used to have this ritual of reading down all of the lyrics and looking at all the artwork. And one name that I would see over and over again was Diane Warren. I was like, who is this woman? I need to know everything I can about her. And I just became so obsessed. And it was important to me for this song because she is on my ladder, and I am here today, and she is going to be here today. And I think that full circle moment is very important for young kids as they become part and they do their own ladder. And it's just incredible. I mean, we were nominated for an award in the same category. And to me, as a young kid looking up to her, now having that is just so special. And I hope that the song inspired other young girls to kind of create their own ladder. And I actually had a parent reach out to me and say, I made a ladder for my kids, and I put their inspirations on the ladder so that they could see those every single day. And I just find that to be so special. And I'm so grateful that I found Diane at such a young age, because I literally would not be sitting here without her. So I'm very grateful.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you so much,
Thank
Liz.
you.
Don't forget harnessing the power of music and how powerful that can be.
Yes.
Thank you again so
Keep
much for
looking
sharing
up.
your story. Keep looking up.
Thank you.